here. AMG Hobby Talk, episode number 81. Collector of the Scallops, Collector of the People. Steve, how are you?
I'm in a fantastic mood this week, Carlos.
Wow.
How are you doing?
Wow. I'm not doing nearly as fantastic as you
No.
are. I'm trying to get the coffee to kick in a little bit, but I'm doing my best. Blair, how are you?
I'm not obviously as fantastic as Steve. It's trying to get my feet on the ground here after a long weekend, but I'm doing good.
I'll share with you guys a quick long weekend video. Obviously in Canada, the majority of our viewers are Canada, but just to cover everybody, we are potentially international audience, so we'll make sure we cover that. Obviously, Monday was Victoria Day, and generally speaking, for the most part, the LCBO, which is our local one, is open. Beer store and everything was open through Sunday, and then Monday is obviously a holiday. I was over at my family's house on Monday. My mom's birthday was this past weekend. So we kind of combined it, Victoria Day, dinner and everything. So we put it all together. And I'm just down the street. So I came by. But then while I was killing a little bit of time, I decided to take a little walk around the neighborhood. And I walked by a little side plaza that's in my area that's kind of hidden away. It's a bunch of old houses, but then they built this plaza there. I don't know why this plaza ended up randomly in the middle of now a residential neighborhood on all sides. But nonetheless, it exists. It's been there forever. They've got a convenience store there. And Victoria Day, convenience stores, a lot of them, some of them decide to just open up because there's business to be made. Yep. So it was open. I wasn't sure, but I walked by and it's open. I see one guy in this soccer shirt and he's making a beeline for the convenience store. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But that confirmed for me that it was open. I walk in to go grab a quick drink. So on my way back as my loop is happening, the guy makes his direct beeline because the convenience stores here can now sell beer. And the guy goes in, grabs a 6-pack of Corona and a 6-pack of other beer, plops it right in the front, and I'm sitting there like, the beer store was open up until yesterday. The long weekend is one day. You couldn't make it one day, my dude? One day? Just one?
It happens.
You run out sometimes.
Yeah, I guess he ran out between Sunday and Monday, and it's a tough time. My buddy joke is like, he must be a Leafs fan. He's like, you know what? I took care of it on Sunday. You know what? I need more. I haven't fixed the problem yet.
I didn't buy enough.
Self-medicate. Hey, do what you got to do. I just thought it was funny. It made me laugh that he made a direct beeline for it. That was the only thing he wanted. Then he got out the door. Couldn't make it the one day, I guess. Anyway, so we did have some good stuff from last week. Obviously, last week we did Metal Universe. So no specific product this week. I'll quickly go over a couple of things. A lot of this is restocks. If you have any questions about availability or pricing, reach out directly to the store. We always mention that for the direct contact points. I'll do the quick scrolling banner here for us. There's the Instagram and the website, also in the description. You can use those connection points. They're all there. So that's the best way to find out anything. We'll show a couple of cards that came in the store. Steve shared a couple with me, including some nice vintage. We've got some nice stuff on there. We'll get to that in a minute. But regardless, if you have questions about any of it, directly, that is the best way. Reach out directly to the store because that way you can get the answers on those. Anything that's less time sensitive, you're welcome to leave something in the comment section. We'll usually address it the following week. We got a couple of good comments last week, and we got some questions, some scintillating questions that must be answered, and we will answer them. Don't worry, we're getting to that. All right, so real quick, I'll go over these. 2025 Panini Prism English Premier Soccer. So we've got that on there. Premier Soccer Choice is the way it's listed. Again, questions, just reach out directly to the store. 2025 Panini Select Soccer La Liga. I am familiar with that one. I've heard of that one. So that's included in there. Again, for availability pricing, reach out directly. Prismatic Evolutions Booster Bundle. I think that's a restock there. So that's included. But again, ask questions if you have them. 2024 Donruss Football Optics Fat Pack. So that's one of the form factors. Panini Basketball Prism Fat Pack. So that's 2025. 2025 Topps Heritage Baseball Value Box. 2024 Topps Resurgence Football Mega Box. 2024 Topps Resurgent Football Value Box. So two different form factors there. Again, for availability and pricing, reach out directly to the store. And we've also got 2025 Upper Deck CHL Hockey. So that's included in there as well. And you can inquire within on those.
I would also think, too, Carlos, where it was a holiday yesterday, I would think the order probably won't show up till Thursday, maybe even Friday. So just follow our social medias as the products make their way to the shelves, Blair will post it on our social media.
Perfect. Sounds good. And links in the description if you want to check out where you can follow on those as well. All right. So one other thing I'll mention is that we do have the card show and trade night that'll be coming up. So I will remind you again next week. Next week, I believe, based on what we're saying, Steve, I think next week it'll be myself and Bonus Blair. We'll have to hold it down. So I think we'll figure it out how that works.
Actually, I'll be here
Was it 2 weeks?
next week, I believe. But yeah,
Okay, so 2 weeks.
I'm just taking a chapter out of Blair's handbook, and the next couple of weeks I will be doing a little bit of this and that. I actually have 4 good friends from Kentucky that are actually on a plane now heading to Halifax. So looking forward to showing some East Coast hospitality to my friends from down south. And then I think I'm home for a week, and then I'm going down to Kentucky. My daughter is graduating from high school, so I'm going down for her graduation, and hopefully some warmer weather than what it looks like we're going to receive this week.
Yeah, it's been very up and down. So we're getting quite a bit of a full gamut of it. It was very nice yesterday, but it was definitely cooler than it was a couple of days earlier. So we do have a couple of things. As I mentioned, trade night and card show last Friday and last Saturday. We'll give you a reminder again next week, and we'll let you know if anything gets updated on it. But it should be the same. If you know where the mall is, you know where the trade night and card show are all happening. Trade night inside the store, card show inside the mall. But again, we'll give you another reminder next week, but bear that in mind. And you can also follow the social medias. That's a good way to get a reminder as well, because that's, as we get closer to it, it'll be mentioned. But there's your reminder on that piece. Yeah. All right, I'm going to read a couple of comments from last week. Thank you, as always, for participating in it. So Rob Taylor here included. Metal is a good, fun product to open. Change of pace from the regulars. So excellent. Glad to see there's some appreciation there. We did think some of the cards are pretty nice. From what Steve and Blair are telling me, seems like the quality control on it is decent, which is always something you want to keep an eye out on with metal. So that's encouraging. And some of the cards do look nice. I want to see them in hand, because especially some of the tougher pulls, do look pretty nice from some of the video breaks that I've seen. So again, I would like to see a few in hand and see how they perform. But so far, so good. I think some nice stuff there if you're chasing some singles. Some fun stuff for you.
I did see a couple PMG pulls, and they do look a little, like I said, their major issue with those is the chipping. And the 2 that I did see, they actually were quite clean. So, and even just the base cards in general, I just think the the quality is better in this issue, definitely compared to last year.
Perfect. It's good to hear. Second one here, Gotham Collection says, great video as always. Pokemon Day Friday is going to be huge. Love it. No Go Sends Go yet, because obviously we're in the off season now. But thank you very much, Gotham, as always, for participating. Was the Pokemon Day thing you guys managed? No fights, Blair. You didn't have to break people up. Like, you didn't have to bring in the riot squad with riot gear or anything. Like, you good?
Nope, all good.
No,
all right, they behaved themselves.
Blair did a good job, actually. I came in a little bit later on the Friday, and Blair kind of did like the soup Nazi on Seinfeld, and
that's for you.
Yeah, people were lined up before we opened, so we've done that in the past, and it's worked too. Of course, we know what everyone's there to get, so Blair was able to just let them in a couple of it at a time, and of course, we sold out, within 30 minutes of the store opening, but it was organized. I wouldn't even say organized chaos. It was just organized. So gold star to Blair for getting it done.
Blair, I don't know what you're
doesn't happen too often.
No. I was going to say, like, Blair, I don't know what you're going to do with yourself with such lofty praise. This is some serious business here. Gold star and everything. My goodness.
I might have to take another frolic.
Yeah, you might have to take a vacation to recover from this
overwhelming
praise. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I think it just works. I think we just do. It was, there was other people here, so it made it a little easier, but I was the only AMG guy. But there was a few people starting to gather, and we were like, why make people wait till 10 o'clock? So it's just plus we're not making people sit out there. So, and a few faces I recognized. It was a few new faces, so we just one at a time. Here you go, and everybody seemed pretty happy. There was a few people that came in a little bit later, and we were out, but hopefully they're not too mad at us. But we were kind of limited, and it's pretty hot, so we were hearing rumors that some other places didn't get theirs and stuff. So hopefully everybody was happy.
Yeah, and we're starting to get a good working relationship with the Pokemon community. Kind of have to make them understand what we can and can't do. Like
Mm.
we did take orders over the phone as well.
Yeah.
But like in the past, people would call us the day before or the week before, and then they would get irritated because they couldn't pre-buy a Pokemon item where we're just not allowed to do it. So now at 10:01 Friday morning, the phone calls started coming, and
And
we took people's orders, and again, limited quantities, but we were able to help those that called in on the phone as well.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, last one. Steve's personal favorite commenter. Hockey 99 is here. All right, so on a couple of these, I'll take them, and then obviously one of them is for Steve, but I'll answer the question. So here we go. 3 questions, it would seem, or 3 comments / questions. The first one is, when are we going to see more content out of this channel? Question mark. Maybe the odd interview with a hockey collector. So allow me. I will address this. So quick, Blair, I'm literally about to answer the question.
Blair's there every week.
Yeah, I was going to say. All right, let me answer the question. Okay, so real quick, good reminder, since it's been 81 episodes, some folks may not be aware. So good reminder. This, the whole thing with the YouTube channel is a supplement to what's going on in the store. Now, what differentiates, because you can look at some stores have started to make content one of the pillars of what they do. This content, if we're going to call that, is a loss leader. Like realistically, it's something where there is stuff that has, we'll showcase some cards, and sometimes some people will see that and go, hey, I'd like that, which is always good. It's always a nice thing. We'll talk about some of the products because the goal is to kind of promote the products. So Steve, I'm actually answering the question seriously. The thing is, if I can make a justification with Sherry and Brad and the conversation we've always had, if there's a justification where I could say, hey, this is going in such a way, it's doing this, and if we did this, I think it would help sales in this category or help this or help that. I have never been told no, every time we've ever had a conversation. But, and I'll remind, because we have talked about this before, we're recording this literally before the store is going to open. It's a thing that allows me to do it schedule-wise, but it also allows the guys. The guys are in the store right now. Sometimes at the end of an episode, you may hear me kind of rushing through the last, we're in the middle of like a conversation, but I'll kind of move the conversation so we can get to the end of it. It's not because I don't want to hear what the guys have to say. It's that I'm being cognizant of the time and I'm keeping an eye on it. And as we're recording in real time, the store will open usually minutes after we finish hitting record. So since the store is actually running, we don't have a media and content team. We basically have Blair with an iPhone and a dream.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there is no extra budget anywhere for extra media people or editing people. I'll usually, most of the podcast episodes don't require an edit. The live streams, we actually like doing the live streams, but the only way we're able to do them is at the end of a day. That's why the hours may be a little weird. People are like, oh, why would you do it at that hour? Well, it's because the store literally had just closed. It was the only way we could justify. I can't ask people to stay hours after the regular working hours in order to do a live stream. Otherwise, we'd be happy to do it because Sherry enjoyed doing it. And the reason you haven't seen Sherry is because she's busy. She's doing a bunch of other things. So it's all practical. And so the point here, Steve, Blair, everybody else, I just want to make sure we're all clear. It's practical. I would love to. And if there was a justification where I felt like we could justify it, I would be happy to set up some additional things. We would have a gallivanting Blair hour. I would be happy to arrange it and set it up. But the thing is, we need time. We need time. We need the ability, and we need the opportunity. And we also need to be able to justify it in order to even make it make sense. We love doing this. It's still fun. It still provides some value. But right now, this is all we can commit to. Anything else we do is, in fact, a bonus.
We were going to have a segment where Blair puts on his work shoes every day when he comes into the shop, just like Mr. Dress Up. And Blair could give us a few words to live by as he changes his shoes. So that's it. That's in the works. So stand by. Hopefully we'll be able to get to that.
Yeah, and I'm going to work on a tickle trunk.
Oh,
we'll
man.
open it up, and maybe there's some collectibles in there.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So bottom line, to answer the question, I am answering the question, taking it seriously. I would love to, but there's no justification for it to allow it. And I'll just use a comparison. Card Collector 2 and some of the other folks, they've turned the content into a pillar. We don't have a breaking operation. It was something that was looked into. It just didn't make sense. If that breaking operation was still happening, I guarantee you there would be something related to that on the channel, but it's not. If we did sales on Whatnot, if Blair was on Whatnot doing live sale, auction sales all the time, well, I guarantee you there'd be some content related to that. The thing is, because it's still operating predominantly as a card shop, with the eBay store presence and all that, I can't justify it. and I couldn't pitch it to Sherry or pitch it in any way like would make sense. And I can't ask Steve or Blair to do additional stuff in addition to what they're doing because I'm asking people to do it beyond their regular hours. Everybody that's working in that store right there is working in the store or processing PSA submissions or doing whatever. They're already fully booked. So we're actually operating outside of office hours right now just to make the content we're doing currently.
Yeah. And we, like you said, we did all of one break. We had the equipment all set up and everything, had all these big plans, and we did one. And then, yeah, things change daily here, and it just got to be where it was just too much. And I know on a smaller scale, like a lot of even the local breakers and things like that, things have changed in that industry as well. So, but yeah, there's just not enough hours in the day for us right now, and yeah, we got to try to get some sleep at night. So, and things may change, but right now this is what we can do, and all we can handle right now.
Yeah, and everything will always be subject to change. We'll always be reviewing it. If an opportunity presents itself down the road, where again, if I can justify having that conversation, I haven't been told no yet, and it's one of those things where if I can make a case for it, then yeah, sure. And by the way, folks, including everybody else, if you've got suggestions or ideas, feel free to give them. I can't promise we'll deliver on them, but if there's enough interest in something and there's a way that it can be done where it doesn't compromise what the store is actually trying to do, I will always look at it. We're happy to consider it. And who knows, maybe down the road we can bring some of that stuff back and try it again. Because again, even the live, we did enjoy doing it. It's just the time isn't available right now to make it make sense.
Yep. Yeah, actually, I was actually a little nervous doing the live, but then after 2 or 3 episodes, I did kind of enjoy it. I like the banter of people chiming in and that. But again, it just got to be where it was too much. And Brad and Sherry actually would come on that every now and then too. But again, they've got a full plate as well. So busy here at AMG.
Yep. So never say never, but for now, I think we're doing what you're getting is what we can commit to. And then occasionally Blair may throw in the odd thing. If he comes across something really good, get some footage or something, we can throw it up on the channel. It's all possible, but it's all based on timing. And it's extra, basically, if they happen to catch some footage that we can use. Again, those breaks, if you check, we've done some breaks in the past. Well, that was because the break was recorded anyway. So we were able to borrow the footage and put it on the channel. So you will still get stuff like that from time to time. If Brad gets very excited about a product and suddenly opens it up and they turn on the camera, well, maybe you'll get a little bonus footage. That's okay.
I will say he did leave with a box of Ultimate about 2 weeks ago. And I asked him the other day if he's opened it yet. Same thing. That just shows how busy he is because he loves that stuff and he hasn't found time to do it. So I would think when he gets time to sit down and have some fun, he'll probably record that. But no, it's crazy times right now, especially with he's all in on the PSA right now. He's got all he can handle. So
there you go. So that was a very full answer, Blair. Let it not be said that I did not give a very full, encompassing answer to that question. So next question here. I find the PMGs to be the most visually appealing, but doesn't appear to be very popular. So that's not so much a question as much as a statement. And the answer is yes. And the reason partially is that in hockey, we just don't have the legacy of it. When Metal Universe originally came out, it didn't have PMGs in hockey. Otherwise, there would be a PMG Medano, which would make me very sad. It would be very expensive, and I don't want it. So I'm very fine with the way it worked out. PMGs came in after the fact, so they never developed the legacy. It's kind of after, we've got them, and there is some interest in them, but no, you can get some great players in PMGs very inexpensively. I've got, for Jamie Benn collection that I have, I've got multiple of the PMGs. I won't say how many of the Reds I have, and I can tell you that I bought some of them for under $20. They're very inexpensive. If you don't look for the biggest players, you can get them very affordably. And they're still nice cards, but they just never developed the fan base in hockey that they have in basketball or football. So that's that. Last one is the Steve question here. This is going to be fun. Steve, I want you to give a very thoughtful answer to these questions. Very important. All right. Steve, what are your thoughts on the Rage Bait video Jeff Wilson published? So Steve, first question. Have you watched any Jeff Wilson content or videos?
No.
So then, unfortunately, his thoughts may be limited to he hasn't seen the video. So that's an issue. Second, was he correct that set collectors didn't exist in the 80s?
I believe this is an attempt to get a reaction out of me. I would like to disagree and say you're incorrect in that statement.
There you go. All the questions have been asked. All the questions have been answered. You're welcome. And yes, if any of you, if any of the rest of you have questions, you're welcome to put it in the comment section. And within reason, we'll follow up on the following episode. All right. So now, I want to showcase a couple of cards that Steve presented here that we were able to share here, and then we'll finish up talking a little bit about how the playoffs are going, because some interesting happenings, especially the last couple, and we're down to our final four, so we can briefly talk about that for a couple of minutes. So let me share a couple of cards here, because there's also some nice vintage, as I mentioned earlier, that may be worth taking a few minutes on. So let us do that. So first off, we're starting off here with one of the net court cards. By the way, you can't see it obviously from this image. So number 225, Matthew Tkachuk, so very appropriate since he's still in the playoffs right now. Net court cards. These are very thick cards. Very thick cards. That net court thing is inside of like this capsulated with the clear see-through.
Yeah.
It's actually very thick card if you ever get a chance to see one in hand. So this is number 225, but they are very interesting cards if you get one in hand. Now, one other thing I'll mention here is it's from SB Game Used, and you can see there's labeled at the bottom, 2024 NHL Stanley Cup Final. And you've even got the date on there and all that included. So that's kind of a neat feature. So you've got specific dates and all that. Yeah. So let me go back up here. Just want to make sure I showed that on there. So at the bottom, like I said, it's literally got the date and giving you a little reference to it. So it's really trying to get you into the game and trying to get you into a specific scenario with it. I think that's kind of a cool feature with these ones. Next one here. Matvey Michkov. I probably butchered that, but nonetheless, authentic rookies. Authentic rookies here, and that is a sticker auto on here. So they did include that in there. I don't think this one's numbered, from what I can tell. I'm just scanning here. I don't believe so. But nonetheless, a Michkov card. So there you go, included in there. Here we got a 2018-29 SB Authentic Marks of Distinction, Bobby Orr autograph on there. So very young Bobby Orr image on there, number 225. Still a good clean auto. It's got a nice spot there for the autograph to appear. So nice hard signed auto on there. It's in a BGS with a 10 autograph, an 8. Looks like the corner is a little bit dinged up, but there you go. If you want your subgrades on there, you've got it. But I think it's a nice clean card. I do like when you've got a nice space for the autograph, and Bobby Orr was able to fit the autograph inside of the space very nicely.
Yep.
All right, so here we go. We've got an Ultimate Logos. We've got ourselves the Bedard, numbered 65. So we've got the autograph on there. So it is on card, and it's got a game, I guess, game used piece, I think, would think on this one for Ultimate.
Yeah. Yeah. For whatever reason, I've seen 2 or 3 copies of this exact same out of 65. Why they just put the, one color patch on it?
Yeah.
Because there's some really nice ones that I'm seeing online, with 3 or 4 colors in it. But it seems a little lackluster effort.
I agree, especially where it's called Ultimate Logos.
Yeah, nothing ultimate about it, but still a big card. And I'm seeing some good selling prices of it online. But odd decision on the logo, which I see no logo.
Not so ultimate per Stephen Blair. My goodness!
No,
wow,
I like ultimate.
There you go. All right, so we got a Gretzky rookie here included. So we got a raw copy. So is this Topps or Peachy on this one?
This is Peachy, and on Saturday, this and the next picture, I figured I'm gonna grade them, so it might be kind of fun to follow the journey of these cards. As you can see, the Gretzky is like gorgeous. Other than top to bottom, it's a little off centered. Yeah. So we'll have to see how it grades out, because sometimes they could grade that miscut, which actually I didn't know this till recently, because back in the day they used to grade cards miscut. Now they'll just send you your card back and not grade it. So that's my only fear. It's a good card, obviously, but do they consider that MC or OC, or will it just pass the grading test? Yeah. But either way, the eye appeal on it, super nice, clean card.
Now, I will say, I believe they have removed a lot of those qualifiers. I think you can get them to put authentic on there. A couple of quick notable things that I think are interesting here, and stuff to keep an eye out on for your own copies. Now, one important thing, the image itself is skewing a little bit, because you can see the edge look like it completely rounded off. I think that's just based on the image. It's probably got a little bit of a bend in it. Yeah. But it's just something to bear in mind. Interesting. So the reason I asked if it was O-Pee-Chee or Topps, the rough cut is very minimal on the one edge. So it's actually very minimal compared to a lot of the ones. It's still there. You can still see a little bit, but it's actually very minimal compared to the norm. So we'll see. I'd actually be curious what the follow-up was on this one. One thing that we've got on here is you do have a little bit of a print spot going on there.
Yep.
But nonetheless, overall, I would say the image is actually pretty decent, all things considered. So it'd be interesting to see how they decide to assess this one.
Yeah, and like you said, even if it only graded authentic, it's still a gorgeous authentic card. And that doesn't mean it's been altered or tampered with. That's just the what they put on them now since they got rid of the MC. But keep my fingers crossed. But I bought it at the right price, and I explained to the person that I bought it from, this is how it could go, and because he was kind of maybe thinking about grading, and I said, well, it's the grade Gretzky's really tough. It's probably like a 5-ish range, but I think it's going to either have an OC qualifier or it may even come back authentic, and then you got to wait 3 months and the cost, and so I paid him a fair price because and I had a couple other cards to show him, like a 6 in the store, and because I had to show him how the centering worked and things like that, so he felt comfortable when he left. Plus, he got it out of a pack for $25. So he was happy when he left, and understood a little bit more about grading because, of course, people see, it's good to do some research online, but to have someone that's been doing this for a while kind of explain it to you. And then when we had samples of that card in the store and with prices on it, so I could kind of show them, because people see that, oh my God, it's selling for $25,000 and stuff. And then when I show them a 3, a 4, or 5 and explain how qualifiers work as well, he was comfortable with letting the card go.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Sounds good. So we'll see. We'll see about follow up there. We'll see what comes down the road here. Now, this next one is actually quite an interesting group. So this is part of I know you've made a post on Facebook on this as well, but I can chime in a little bit because obviously, so just to be clear, so we're all on the same page. So this is a group of 56 Topps baseball. So a couple of things. Obviously, whenever we talk about this, we always make the joke about it. Steve obviously is very into the vintage side of things. I actually have a complete set of 56 Topps. This is actually my favorite set ever, followed closely by the 53. So those are two that I'm a big fan of. But these are some very nice looking copies of the 56s. So why don't you give us a little background, Steve? So a couple of things. What happened? How did this come about? And obviously there's some nice looking cards here. So what are some thoughts and little background on this?
Yeah, so actually I touched on this before. Blair didn't know I picked these up, so he's seeing them for the first time. Yeah, I mean, the one thing I love about working in a card store is you just never know what's going to walk through the door. So Saturday afternoon, we were busy, and there was this older gentleman. I said hi to him when he came in, but he just kind of kept walking around the store a little bit. And after about 20 minutes, I think it's good when you come into our store too, because we're not perfect, but we're not also not a Mickey Mouse operation. So he kind of got to see people walking around and doing transactions, and actually did buy a couple things. So he probably saw some money changing hands. And then when a little bit of lull in the action, he came over and, asked if I was buying. And I was like, well, if it's something I could use. And then he had a box, and he had 150 1956 Topps in it. And as I started going through them, I was like, and 56 Topps, like a lot of people in this area, we don't see as much baseball as you would in the States. So when someone drops baseball in your lap in Nova Scotia, everyone gets all excited about it, but the condition still has to be there. And the condition on this was very impressive. And again, same sort of thing. I did a little spiel on how grading works, the cost, had a few examples, and again, they look aesthetically pleasing to the eye, but they'll probably grade like 3 to 5 range, which again for vintage is very nice. And of course they're going to look great in the PSA slabs, but it'll be it took a while. I paid probably more than I wanted to for them, but again, sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get something. So and I was talking to Carlos a little bit on the weekend about them. Some of them are just super clean, especially like I really like La Clemente.
Absolutely. So I scrolled through kind of as we were talking. So I'll quickly go into a couple of these. Obviously, some great examples: Ernie Banks, Eddie Matthews, Yogi Berra, Willie Mays, Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson is actually his last card because that was the end of his run as a major leaguer when that happened. Roberto Clemente, obviously, that's second year Clemente, which is a great image on that one. Duke Snyder, Gil Hodges, Hank Aaron, which is a good one. One of the favorite things is you've obviously Hank Aaron's headshot here gets used 3 consecutive years. So if you ever check, the headshot is the same as the rookie, same as the 55, same as the 56. And the player here sliding, I believe, is actually Willie Mays. So it's not Hank Aaron there in the kind of the secondary image, which is always kind of an interesting little quirk. Sandy Koufax, second year, same kind of thing. Love that card. I think the Sandy Koufax card is a great one. And then the Ted Williams, obviously. So as I said earlier, I've got a complete set of this. My favorite set personally. Love the images on this. I actually bought my copy of Ted Williams. It's a beat up copy, certainly not as nice as this one, but I bought my copy of Ted Williams back at the Sports Card Expo on a dealer's table for the princely sum of $10. That was the dealer's price, not mine. I simply asked what he wanted for. It was disorganized chaos. It was a pile of cards. It was many years ago now, but it was a disorganized pile. And the guy was just like, yeah, $10. And I was like, okay. I'm like the meme. Shut up and take my money. Here you go. I'll just take that. Thank you very much. So that one sits in my collection to this very day. But some beautiful examples, and based on the size of that collection, that sounds really good. Be very interested to see how some of these do.
Yeah, and like even all the commons are like $20, but they're worth the $20. Sometimes when we get vintage baseball in, they'll have creases and stuff like that, and vintage baseball in like rougher shape doesn't sell like hockey does. Like a vintage hockey card with a crease in it, I can move pretty quick. Baseball, because there's so much more of it, and the commons really aren't that expensive. Why pay $4 for one with a crease when you can wait and find a really nice one for $20? So these commons are super clean, and they'll be $15 to $30 depending on the card. And there's also like some $50 and $60 cards in the grouping as well. But I loved when this stuff came in, and again, not often we get a collection that is this clean as far as baseball goes.
Sounds good. Now, one quick thing I'll throw in there. This is just kind of a fun thing, not something that someone would necessarily need to spend a lot of time on, but this is where I can kind of interject and add a little flavor to this. One of my favorite things, and you'll see this on a handful of cards. So the Ted Williams is actually a good example, since obviously I mentioned that I had a copy. You actually have a couple of different if you've got nothing better to do, there's already white backs and then the kind of the gray backs on these. And it's in the first group of cards. The Mantle is included in that, so you can get it either in gray back or white back versions. Again, up to you if you want to chase something like that, or you can just collect it as is. It's fine. With the Ted Williams is an example of this. So if you're paying attention, I'm highlighting a little line above his name. The reason I'm doing that is, believe it or not, if you want to get really fun, Blair, if you want to get crazy, there's actually multiple variations of that line. They're different colors. You can actually find them. So there are examples of it. Net54 is good at documenting some of this. You can find green, yellow, and light blue lines on some of the examples of them. I think it's some weird printing variation or something that happened, but I've seen copies in all those different versions of them. I can't remember what color my line is, but then I'm just highlighting it here so you can see it. So yeah, Steve, if it's not challenging enough, you can chase after line variations. Ted Williams, though, is one prominent example of this. And I knew that one offhand because I had obviously looked into it years ago.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you definitely want to. I use the Beckett, not necessarily the prices, but some of the information, and will list all the variations. So yeah, on a lot of these vintage baseball sets, there is several variations. A lot of time there's only like $10, $20 difference, but there's the odd card that there's a massive difference. So always worthwhile, definitely doing a little research as you're sorting through them.
Yeah, I will say, as far as I'm aware, there's no real premium associated to it. It's just kind of an interesting quirk. But it's a situation where I have a buddy of mine who's built some of these sets multiple times. He's the kind of person who would look for stuff like that, because it's like he's already built the set. Now he just wants, all right, he's got the white back version, he's got the gray back version, and then you can chase after those line variations. Right now, I think it's so obscure. Like, it is documented, like people have found them and been able to showcase them and confirm them, but it's like it's so obscure. It's like, Blair, how much extra you want to pay for the line because it's green instead of this other color?
Yeah,
very minor, but it's wanted to share it since obviously
Yeah.
we had an example there we could showcase.
Yeah.
You can, if you have copies at home, you can check out and see what version yours is.
Yeah.
I can see Blair's brain spinning right now.
Oh,
He's
yes.
kind of turned towards baseball lately. So when those popped up, he was like, "Oh boy." So
Yeah, those are nice. I'm not a traditionally. I was never like a. Now I collected the hockey sets, obviously, but I was never like a headshot kind of. They tend to not be my favorite sets. That set I really like because it's the headshot, and then they have the action, you know, off to the side, not really the background kind of thing. So it just adds a little bit to those cards. Some of the card sets I like in baseball, you know, they have the team logos, which are nice, you know, and headshots kind of thing. But I know they did the headshot a lot, but
I'm a little,
I'm fond of that set.
I'm a little curious. Did he have the mantle? So it'd be interesting to see. Like maybe this was a test when he brought them in Saturday. Because there was 150 cards, and most of the big guys were there. So and we did build a good rapport and explained it quite well. And he got closer to his number than the number I wanted to pay. So I think he left happy. So it would be a nice surprise if, you know, he showed up again with the mantle. And, if it's in similar shape, again, that would be a nice payday for him and another great card for the shop. But I didn't go there with him. Right. And, sometimes you don't want to press too much. You can only buy what's in front of you. So there's no sense pressing for something that may or may not be there. And sometimes people get offended if you get too aggressive with them. So, but I did know I wanted those cards because they were, as a group, very impressive.
Absolutely. No, I'll be looking forward to seeing kind of what comes of that. I'd be surprised. Yeah. To your point, considering basically he had every other major notable name.
Yeah.
I was just laughing because I had it on the desk at the expo. I went and picked up. These are obviously not nearly as nice, but even like I've got extra copies of some of these. Nice. Some of those, even beat up as they are, they're probably upgrades over the one I have in my original set. So that's why I ended up grabbing these. But yeah, I always have my eye out on some of those. It's even after you finish the set, sometimes then you upgrade. Like depending on where you're at condition wise, sometimes you upgrade. But some of mine were really beat up. That's why I can upgrade very easily. It doesn't require that much in order to upgrade some of the examples. But a fun set, personal favorite of mine, my favorite top set from the era. That was the very first year after the Bowman. Bowman was purchased by Topps. So that was the first year of the Topps monopoly. And also the last year that they used the larger form factor on the cards before 57, where they went to the standard card size that has now been the standard ever since 57. A couple of notables for you. A couple of little notes there.
And that's the only downside with it is the finding the holder to fit them in and stuff like that. They mess up your storage boxes. Like you need to get a little bit bigger. So yeah, they're kind of like the tall boys in hockey. They're in a world of their own, unfortunately. Yeah. But they are beautiful cards.
Absolutely. All right. So what we'll do is I'm just mindful of time. See, going back to what I said earlier. Mindful of the time. All right, let's do it real quick, though. I was kind of curious. All I want from you guys is two things. I just want any general thoughts on the last round of hockey playoffs, because we did enjoy, like I said, we had the Maple Leafs Game 7. Let me ask this question. Obviously, the Leafs lost in disastrous fashion, as is their way. By the way, I was going to go down and visit a Toronto Maple Leafs baseball team game on Sunday. But then when I saw Game 7 was on Sunday, Steve, I decided to stay home. Discretion is the better part of valor, because it was going to be a madhouse down there, and I didn't need to deal with any of that nonsense because I wasn't going for the Leafs hockey game. I was going for the Leafs baseball game, and I missed the 16-15 barn burner. Like, they actually had a great game. I would have loved to have checked it out, but it is what it is. I watched it at home. But obviously I watched the Game 7 as well. Not surprising that the Leafs lost, surprising the way they lost. Here's the thing. For sure, there's going to be some changes. Mitch Marner is probably on his way out the door. So, Steve, are we doing any Mitch Marner liquidation sales as he leaves the Toronto area?
Well, actually, he might go up in value. You never know.
Well, depending on where he goes, I guess, right?
He goes to the right market, so sure.
Yeah.
Everyone's pointing fingers, but I mean, they can't go on again. I mean, and there's no sense talking about it. You turn TSN or Sportsnet on, it's Leafs. So. Just I'm not going to watch it for the next 3 months, and hopefully we'll see what they look like in September.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So Blair, I'll ask you this. So 2 questions, and then I'll get one from Steve as well. All right. Did anything in the second round surprise you? Anything at all? Any of the series? Anything that happened? So that's my first question. And then my second question, after you answer that, I want a prediction of the 2 series.
Other than the Leafs, yeah. I don't know if anything surprised me, because when we chatted the last time, I picked a few teams here and there, but really they were kind of, just close your eyes and grab a pick. But I enjoyed the hockey. I watched a lot. I don't know, maybe the Oilers winning, as soon as they did. I thought Vegas might have had a little resurgence there, but I know they came back in a couple of games, but no, I don't know if there was any big surprises for me. Like I said, I just think a lot of those teams are so close. Yeah, and so obviously I'm going Oilers over Dallas. It's tough because Dallas is a beast. So hard to say, but I'm going to go Oilers. And then I'm going to go. It's nothing to do with Leafs, Florida. I cheer for the Leafs kind of quietly. I'm not a huge Maple Leafs fan, but Canadian teams. But I'm going to go with Carolina over Florida.
Wow, evading. So we don't get the Stanley Cup rematch. He's got half of it, not the other half of it. Interesting.
Yeah.
Steve, what do you think?
4 good teams, depth wins, and a hot goaltender. So as much as I want Edmonton to win, I don't think they have as much depth as the other 3 teams. That's my only concern. I really like Carolina. I hope Carolina wins, but you can't bet against Bobrovsky. And, Edmonton's got, 2 of the best players in the world. So I'd like to see Florida and Edmonton in the final. But again, I'm a Brenda Moore fan, and he's had that franchise playing well for years. I think the right 4 teams might even be in the final, to be honest. Leafs.
So Steve completely, if you notice, Steve mentioned every single team and completely avoided actually
Leafs
making
did well getting to the second round. So that's about all I expected. No, it's tough.
Yeah. I'm sure it is. So which one?
Carolina needs to jump on them. You know what? Let's go. I don't know.
I'm not letting you off the hook, Steve. Let's go.
Usually it's me.
You got 2 options.
Care.
You got 2 options, buddy. It's not that hard. You can do it.
You're not building a house here, Steve.
Is Stuart Skinner going to play well? Is he going to play well in the playoffs? Or any goalie? If Edmonton gets goaltended, we're going with Edmonton. But those Dallas Stars, Carlos.
Still not a pick.
Yeah. So anyway, Steve's going with Edmonton, and then in the East, Steve.
Let's go Carolina.
He likes Carolina.
It'd be an upset, but let's go Carolina.
We got there. Blair, we got there. All right,
we got
there. Yeah,
hey! That makes sense.
The Stars are probably the best team right now, so that's why
I'm crossing my finger. So for me, I need depth scoring. So just to make it really simple, I like Florida's experience. Carolina's good. Carolina's really good.
Yeah.
I like Florida's experience. Florida, though, is beat up. So the one advantage Carolina has is they play great defensively, and Florida is super beat up. The Leafs were not physical or mentally or physically tough enough to exploit that. If they had, they would have made it a lot more interesting, I think.
Yeah.
But it wasn't lack of talent. It was lack of heart and lack of willingness to go and take that extra step. Florida does not have that problem, but they are beat up. Like, they are very beat up.
Yeah.
Carolina,
I think back to hot goalies. Actually, it was Frederick Anderson. His stats are actually the best out of all the goalies that are still playing. So,
Carolina's got some good veterans.
Yeah,
so he veteran defenseman. Brent Burns is ready for another run at it. So.
Oh yeah.
So bottom line, I'm taking Dallas in my homer pick as my team, but Edmonton winning would not shock me at all. This is literally a rematch of the last year's Western Conference, and both teams are very good. If I don't get depth scoring in Dallas, then Edmonton should win. Should have a good chance of winning if their goaltending is even competent. That's all it would take, just competent. Because if they have to play 6-5 games, then I favor Edmonton. If they can keep it down a little bit, then I like Dallas's chances a little bit more. But I'll go with the homer pick. Other side, I'll just take Florida's experience. That's the only reason. Although I have no reason to believe that Carolina couldn't. They certainly could.
Yeah.
I don't have any issue with that. So Steve, 2 picks. Not that tough. It can be done.
One of
all
4
right,
teams is going to win.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so that's it for us. We're right on time, so I'm going to get you guys out of here. So they'll get to opening the store. So thank you, bonus player. Thank you for participating as always. Appreciate you, Steve, collector of the scalps, collector of the people, and careful hockey analyst. Very careful, the carefulest. Anyway, again, if you got any comments or anything, feel free to throw them in the comments section. If it's more time pressing, reach out directly to the store. Use the contact points included in the description. That's it for us this time around. Thanks very much. We'll catch you in the next one.